Introduction. In a small sunlit room, David sat in a circle with others who, like him, were seeking something elusive, a life free from the chains of addiction. As he nervously twirled the recovery chip in his hands, he knew he was on the cusp of a transformative journey. It was his first meeting, and David was terrified, but he was also hopeful. Welcome to Pathways to Renewal, a guide for recovering addicts. This book exists for people like David and perhaps people like you or someone you love. It's a beacon for those lost in the storm of addiction, offering guidance, understanding, and above all, hope. If you're reading this, you've already taken a significant step, whether it's for yourself or to understand the complexities of addiction that someone close to you is battling. We begin this journey with a fundamental truth. Addiction does not discriminate. It affects individuals from all walks of life regardless of age, income, education, or background. It's not a character flaw nor a lack of willpower. It's a complex, often misunderstood condition, but it's one that we can navigate and manage with the right tools and support. In this book, we'll explore the multifaceted nature of addiction and recovery. You'll encounter stories like David's, which are woven throughout to illustrate the lived realities behind the science and the strategies we will discuss. His story is one of many reflecting the diverse experiences of individuals in recovery. Our aim is not merely to inform, but to engage and inspire. Each chapter is designed to guide you through various stages of recovery, from understanding addiction, as we will explore in Chapter 2, to forging a new fulfilling life free of substances in the concluding chapters. We will delve into the scientific underpinnings of addiction, the psychological battles waged in the mind, the strategies to develop a robust recovery plan, and the ways to rebuild and maintain relationships that nurture your new life. As we move forward, remember that this book is more than a collection of facts and strategies. It's a companion on your journey, a journey that David and countless others are walking, filled with challenges but also ripe with possibilities for renewal and growth. So let's take this journey together. Whether you are in the early stages of your recovery, well into your path of sobriety, or reading to support a loved one, there is a place for you in this narrative. As David felt that glimmer of hope in his first meeting, so too may you find hope in these pages, a hope that guides you towards a life renewed. Chapter 1. Understanding Addiction. Imagine walking a tightrope on one side, as your daily life on the other, an abyss that seems impossible to cross. For Sarah, that abyss was addiction. It started innocently with a prescription for painkillers after a car accident. Little did she know, these pills would turn into her tightrope, making her everyday existence a precarious act of balance. To truly embark on the path of recovery, we first need to understand addiction itself, a complex and often misunderstood condition. It isn't merely a sign of weak character or a wrong choice. It's a chronic disorder, a medical condition akin to diabetes or heart disease. Whether it's substances like alcohol and narcotics or behaviors like gambling, addiction seizes the brain's reward system, becoming an unrelenting cycle that feels impossible to break. Let's delve into the science. Picture the brain, a magnificent, intricate organ masterfully orchestrating our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Addiction, however, is the unwelcome conductor directing the brain to crave the addictive substance. When Sarah took her painkillers, her brain was flooded with dopamine, a feel-good chemical. Over time, this flood became a trickle, pushing her to take more pills to chase that initial feeling of relief, ultimately leading her brain to undergo long-lasting changes. But addiction isn't purely scientific, it's deeply personal and psychological. Sarah was coping with more than physical pain. The pills soothed her emotional turmoil following her accident, serving as her temporary escape. The psychological facets of addiction can be vast depression, anxiety, past traumas, and stress are frequent companions. It's not merely about the high, but often about the escape, a way to numb the pain, even if just for a moment. Here we must pause to shatter some myths. Addiction is not a simple choice nor a moral failing. It's a whirlpool that can pull anyone under, regardless of willpower or moral character. It's crucial to view it through a compassionate lens to understand that it's a disorder, not a decision. Consider the spectrum of substance use. It's not black and white. From experimentation to casual use to dependence and addiction, there is a wide-ranging and fluid continuum. Recognizing this is essential because not all substance use leads to addiction, and different people have varied risks and experiences. Sarah's journey, like so many others, is neither unique nor shameful. It's a poignant example of the tightrope that countless individuals walk daily. As we delve further into this book, we'll explore how to step off that tightrope safely and how to forge a new path, a path of understanding, healing, and most importantly, hope. So as you turn these pages, remember Sarah. Remember that her story, and stories like hers, are the threads that weave the fabric of understanding addiction, a step we must all take on our pathway to renewal. Chapter 2. Breaking Through Denial. The Power of Denial. Denial is often one of the most formidable barriers on the path to recovery. It is a defense mechanism that allows us to avoid facing the painful truths about our addiction. While in denial, we may convince ourselves that we don't have a problem, or that our substance use is normal and under control. Breaking through denial is a critical step, as it allows us to see our situation clearly and take action towards recovery. Mark's awakening. Mark, a successful lawyer, prided himself on his control over his life. For years he told himself that his nightly drinks were a reward for his hard work and a way to unwind. Even as his drinking increased, he dismissed his family's concern. One fateful day, Mark arrived at court intoxicated. He stumbled over his words and was unable to represent his client effectively. The judge noticed his condition, leading to a suspension of his license to practice law. It was a grave professional consequence that shook Mark to his core. I was jeopardizing everything I worked for, Mark recalls, all the while telling myself it wasn't a problem. This incident was his wake-up call. His denial had cost him dearly, not just in his personal life, but in his professional life as well. His journey towards acceptance and recovery began the day he acknowledged his denial and sought help. Practical advice: recognizing and overcoming denial. 1. Self-reflection. Regularly assess your feelings and behaviors. Ask yourself hard questions and be honest in your answers. 2. Listen to loved ones. Often those closest to us see the truth before we do. Listen to their concerns without defensiveness. 3. Consult a professional. A healthcare provider or counselor can offer an objective assessment of your situation. 4. Educate yourself. Learning more about addiction can help you recognize if your behaviors are indicative of a larger problem. 5. Join a support group. Sometimes it takes seeing and hearing others' experiences to recognize our own denial. The path forward. Breaking through denial is often painful, but it is also liberating. In denial, we subconsciously dismiss the concerns of our loved ones as we defend our addictive behaviors. We construct a narrative that allows us to avoid facing the reality of our situation. It is a defense, but it is also a prison. Like Mark, we might only wake up when the consequences become too severe to ignore. But once we stop lying to ourselves and break through the denial, we can begin to lay the foundations for our recovery. By accepting the truth of our situation, we become empowered to change. We open the door to healing, growth, and a new life of sobriety and health. This acceptance is the first crucial step on a transformative journey towards recovery. Chapter 3: Acceptance and Commitment. Lena stared at herself in the bathroom mirror, her reflection seeming almost like a stranger. Today was different, though. Today, Lena whispered 3 powerful words to that reflection. I need help. It was the acceptance that her life had become unmanageable due to her addiction, and it marked the beginning of her commitment to change. Acceptance, at first glance, may seem like a passive word, but in the context of addiction, it is anything but. It is the first bold step towards recovery. For Lena, acceptance wasn't about admitting defeat. It was about acknowledging reality. It was coming to terms with the fact that substances had taken control of her life. Like Lena, accepting doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are strong enough to face the truth without sugarcoating or denial. With acceptance comes commitment, the promise Lena made to herself that day, which became the cornerstone of her recovery. Commitment is the pledge to walk the path of recovery even when it's steep and filled with obstacles. It's waking up every day and choosing sobriety, choosing health, choosing life. So what does it look like to accept and commit in real, practical terms? It starts with an honest self-assessment. Are substances interfering with your ability to live the life you want? Are they causing harm to you or others? For Lena, these questions were painful but necessary. They allowed her to see, in stark terms, the impact of her addiction. Next comes the actual commitment to change. This isn't a vague or abstract idea, it's concrete. It might mean telling a trusted friend or family member that you're ready to seek help, just as Lena did. It could involve researching treatment options or attending a recovery meeting. It's a proactive step signaling to yourself and others that you are dedicated to your journey of recovery. As Lena's story unfolds throughout this book, you'll see that acceptance and commitment are not one-time events. They are ongoing processes. Some days Lena felt strong and resolute. Other days she felt overwhelmed and unsure. That's the reality of recovery. It's not linear, and that's perfectly okay. In this chapter, we will explore various strategies to help cultivate this mindset of acceptance and commitment, even on the tough days. We'll talk about practical tools such as mindfulness exercises that can help you stay rooted in the present, and we'll explore how to develop a recovery action plan, a personalized roadmap that outlines your commitments and how you plan to achieve them. Lena's whispered words to her reflection were a pivotal moment, and they are words that everyone struggling with addiction will say at some point on their journey to recovery. It's the moment where acceptance meets commitment and where the path to a brighter, substance-free future becomes clear. As you turn this page, carry Lena's story with you. Let it remind you that recovery is not just possible, it's a promise you can make to yourself starting today. Chapter 4: Building a Support System. In a cozy living room filled with the aroma of fresh coffee, Mark found himself in a place he never expected, a local support group for people in recovery. Across from him sat Alex, a veteran of these gatherings, whose warm smile immediately put Mark at ease. Alex extended a hand and said, "We're in this together, friend." building a support system is more than a chapter title. It's a lifeline in the turbulent sea of recovery. As Mark found in Addicts, it's about connection and community, about finding those who can relate to your struggles and triumphs without judgment. Recovery, while a deeply personal journey, isn't meant to be a solitary one. It is often the people around us, our friends, family, mentors, or support groups, who throw us a lifeline when we are sinking. For Mark, this was his first taste of what a positive, reinforcing community feels like. It was where he learned one of the most vital lessons of his recovery. He didn't have to do it alone. So how does one go about building this support system? First, it's about identifying the people in your life who are positive and supportive. For Mark, that began with Alex, but it gradually extended to include other members of his group, a therapist, and old friends who understood his journey. It meant distancing himself from influences that encouraged his addiction and embracing relationships that nurtured his recovery. Then comes the action of reaching out and asking for help, which is, admittedly, often easier said than done. It's about vulnerability, about allowing others to see your struggles, and trusting that they will hold your hand rather than judge your past. When Mark asked Alex for advice after that meeting, he wasn't showing weakness. He was showing immense strength and courage. An essential component of this support is also professional guidance. For some, this could be a therapist or counselor specializing in addiction, while for others, it might be a doctor overseeing the medical aspects of recovery. For Mark, his therapist was more than a healthcare provider. She was a steady presence offering tools and strategies for managing his cravings, emotions, and mental health. As we navigate through this chapter, we will also explore the different types of support groups available, such as AA, NA, and other community or online groups. We'll delve into how to find a therapist or counselor, what to expect in therapy, and how to establish boundaries in relationships that protect your sobriety. We'll journey with Mark as his support system expands and strengthens, as he learns to both give and receive support, and as he discovers the profound impact of community on his path to recovery. As you turn the page, carry Mark's story in your heart. Let it remind you that building a support system is not just about seeking help, but about forging connections that sustain and uplift us, affirming that we are not alone on this journey. Chapter 5: Self-Compassion and Forgiveness. As Rosa sat in the quiet corner of her garden, she felt the sun gently warming her face. Holding an old photo of herself, she realized how far she had come. In that photo was a younger Rosa during the depths of her addiction. Tears welled in her eyes, not of sorrow, but of compassion for that woman in the picture. In that sacred moment, Rosa began to forgive herself. Self-compassion and forgiveness are two profound, deeply healing aspects of recovery that are often overlooked in the urgency to fix the tangible aspects of our lives. For Rosa, this chapter of her journey was about learning to see herself not as a failure or a burden, but as a human being who deserves love and forgiveness, especially from herself. Self-compassion is about treating ourselves with the same kindness, concern, and understanding that we would offer to a good friend in times of suffering. For Rosa, this meant stopping the cycle of self-blame and self-criticism that she had perpetuated for years. It meant learning to comfort herself, to say, "It's okay, I'm here for you," when she felt that old, familiar pang of guilt or shame. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is the act of releasing resentment or vengeance toward oneself or others. For many, like Rosa, forgiving oneself can be the hardest part. It's not about excusing or forgetting the past, but rather allowing oneself to make peace with it. It's a gift of liberation that Rosa chose to give herself, understanding that she couldn't change the past, but she could shape her future. So how does one cultivate self-compassion and forgiveness during recovery? First, it begins with awareness, recognizing when we are being harsh or judgmental towards ourselves and gently shifting that inner dialogue. For Rosa, this involved daily practices such as meditation and journaling, tools that helped her become more mindful of her thoughts and feelings. Next, it's about actively challenging and changing the narrative. This could involve affirmations, self-care practices, or therapy sessions focused on self-compassion. Rosa's therapist introduced her to exercises that helped her reframe her self-talk, moving from "I'm a mess" to "I'm a human who is healing." Forgiveness is often a more complex and nuanced process. It may involve a symbolic act like writing a letter of forgiveness to oneself or another, which Rosa found extremely cathartic, or engaging in a forgiveness meditation or ritual. In this chapter, we will delve deeper into practical strategies and exercises to cultivate self-compassion and foster forgiveness, just as Rosa did. We will explore the psychology behind self-compassion and why it's such a powerful tool for recovery, as well as provide guidance on how to embark on the challenging but liberating path of forgiveness. As you turn this page, let Rosa's story remind you that at the core of recovery is a journey of the heart, a journey towards self-love, acceptance, and the profound healing that forgiveness can bring. Chapter 6: Navigating Relapse and Resilience. On a crisp autumn evening, Ethan found himself in a familiar place, one he thought he had left behind, the liquor store. Standing at the crossroads of relapse and resilience, he felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. This time, however, something was different. He took a deep breath, turned around, and walked away. In that moment, Ethan chose resilience. Navigating relapse and resilience is a chapter that holds space for one of the most human aspects of the recovery journey. It acknowledges that recovery is rarely a straight path, and for many, like Ethan, it involves learning from setbacks rather than being defeated by them. Relapse, in the context of addiction, is often viewed as a failure. But what if we reframe that perspective? What if, instead of a failure, relapse was seen as a part of the learning process, a signal pointing to areas that need more attention and care? For Ethan, this moment at the liquor store wasn't his downfall, it was his revelation. It was when he realized that his coping strategies needed revisiting and strengthening. Resilience, on the other hand, is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's the strength and speed of our response. In Ethan's story, resilience was his choice to walk away, to engage with his support system, to revisit his recovery plan, and adjust as needed. It was his choice to view this moment not as an end, but as a lesson, a stepping stone on his path toward long-lasting recovery. So how does one navigate through relapse and foster resilience during recovery? First, it's about preparation. Knowing that relapse is a common part of the recovery process, having a plan in place is essential. For Ethan, this meant having a list of people to call when he felt triggered, activities that help him calm down, and strategies to disrupt the pattern that leads to relapse. Then comes response. After a relapse, it's crucial to engage with your support system and possibly a healthcare professional. For Ethan, this involved calling his mentor from his support group, revisiting his therapist, and being honest with his family about the situation. Lastly, it's about reflection and adjustment. This involves a candid assessment of what led to the relapse and what changes might prevent a future one. Ethan spent time with his therapist discussing what triggered this episode and how he can strengthen his coping strategies. In this chapter, we will provide detailed, compassionate guidance on developing a relapse prevention plan, responding effectively if a relapse does occur, and using setbacks as a springboard for growth and further resilience. We will discuss the psychological and physiological aspects of relapse and provide tools and strategies for building resilience. As you turn this page, carry Ethan's story with you. Let it be a beacon of hope and resilience, demonstrating that relapse doesn't spell the end of recovery, but rather is a chapter in a much larger, triumphant story of renewal. Chapter 7. Embracing a New Identity. As Tara looked at herself in the mirror, she saw someone she had long yearned to see. A woman in control, radiant with life. It was a stark contrast from the weary eyes that used to greet her reflection during her years of struggle. In her newfound sobriety, Tara was rediscovering not just how to live, but who she was without substances defining her existence. Embracing a new identity is about the profound transformation that occurs when someone moves from being an addict to a person living a meaningful, substance-free life. For Tara, this chapter of her journey was about redefining herself, not by her past, but by who she has become and continues to strive to be. For many in recovery, substances once played a central role in their identity. They influenced friends, activities, and how they coped with life's challenges. Tara, like so many others, initially felt a void where her addiction used to be. Sobriety, though liberating, also posed the question, who am I now? As Tara came to learn, embracing a new identity involves self-discovery and reinvention. It's about exploring new interests, passions, and values. For Tara, this meant enrolling in a painting class, something she had always been interested in, but never had the courage to pursue. She found solace in her art, a way to express her emotions, and a fulfilling activity that didn't revolve around substances. But it's not just about finding new hobbies, it's also about examining and redefining personal values and goals. Tara spent time reflecting on what is genuinely important to her now, her family, her health, her art, and set goals aligned with those values, such as building a career in art therapy to help others heal through creative expression. Another key aspect of this new identity is community and connection. In her recovery, Tara has built relationships with people who support her new sober lifestyle. This includes friends from her support group, mentors, and reconnecting with family members in a deeper, more authentic way. So how does one go about embracing this new identity during recovery? First, it involves exploration and experimentation. Trying new activities, attending different social events, or starting new hobbies as Tara did with her painting classes can help fill the life space that substances once occupied. Next is about reflection and goal setting. This involves taking time to think deeply about personal values, what brings true contentment, and setting realistic and meaningful goals. Lastly, it's about building new relationships and nurturing existing ones that align with this new phase of life. For Tara, her friendships with fellow artists and members of her support group have become a cornerstone of her new identity. In this chapter, we will guide readers through actionable steps for self-recovery and personal reinvention, strategies for setting and pursuing new goals, and advice on building and maintaining relationships that nourish this new identity. As you turn this page, let Tara's story inspire you. Her journey serves as a vivid, heartening reminder that recovery is not just about leaving a part of yourself behind, it's about creating and embracing a new, empowering identity that is rich with purpose and promise. Chapter 8. Rebuilding Relationships and Restoring Trust. Jason sat in the warm, inviting living room, nervously tapping his foot. Across from him, his sister Maya was deep in thought. After years of friction due to Jason's addiction, today was significant. Today, they had set time aside to talk openly and honestly, a crucial step in Jason's journey to rebuild relationships and restore trust. It was hard for both of them, but it was a necessary step toward healing. Rebuilding relationships and restoring trust is a delicate, pivotal part of recovery. For many, like Jason, addiction strained or even severed relationships with family members, friends, and significant others. This chapter of his journey is about making amends where possible, rebuilding those vital connections, and most importantly, restoring trust. As Jason prepared for this conversation, he realized the importance of accountability and honesty. He understood that he owed Maya the truth about his past actions, and he owed it to himself to take responsibility for them. This wasn't about making excuses, it was about acknowledging the pain he had caused and showing that he was taking steps to change. For Maya, her brother's addiction was a source of immense pain and disappointment. As they talked, she could see the sincere remorse in Jason's eyes. He was not the same person who had lied and stolen from her in the past. Today, he was someone working tirelessly on his recovery, and that was the brother she wanted to believe in. Rebuilding relationships in recovery is often a two-way street. It involves the person in recovery owning up to their past and showing through consistent action that they have changed, and it requires the other party, like Maya, to be open to the possibility of healing and reconciliation. Patience and time are central to this process. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight, but through consistent, honest actions over time. So how does one approach the sensitive task of rebuilding relationships and restoring trust during recovery? First, it involves self-preparation. Before Jason approached Maya, he worked extensively with his therapist to understand the depth of his past actions, articulate his remorse, and devise a plan to avoid repeating those mistakes. Next is the initial conversation. This is a delicate step that should be approached with humility and without expectations. For Jason, this meant asking Maya if she was willing to talk, fully respecting that she had the right to say no. Then comes the act of making amends. This doesn't necessarily mean undoing the past, as some things cannot be undone. For Jason, it meant acknowledging his actions without reservation and apologizing sincerely. Lastly, there is the continuous effort to rebuild trust. This is where actions speak louder than words. For Jason, it meant showing up when he said he would, being an active listener in his conversations with Maya, and continuing his recovery work diligently. In this chapter, we will explore the nuances of making amends, including when and how to approach these conversations, and what to do if the other party is not ready or willing to reconcile. We will delve into the psychology of trust and provide practical strategies for those in recovery to demonstrate their commitment to change. As you turn this page, let Jason's story resonate with you. It's a poignant reminder that recovery extends beyond the self. It's also about healing the relationships that matter, and it begins with a single brave step toward honesty, accountability, and love. Chapter 9: Cultivating Self-Compassion and Forgiveness. As Isabel sat in a quiet park, she felt the warm sun on her face and a notebook in her hands. Today, her therapist suggested she write a letter to her past self, the Isabel who was in the depths of addiction. This wasn't a task to stir up self-blame or regret. Rather, it was an exercise in self-compassion and forgiveness. Cultivating self-compassion and forgiveness is a chapter about learning to extend kindness towards oneself, recognizing the immense strength it takes to overcome addiction, and releasing the burden of past mistakes to move forward freely in recovery. For years, Isabel carried a heavy load of guilt and shame related to her past. As she wrote the letter, her words were initially harsh, reflecting the anger she felt towards her past self. But as she continued to write, her tone softened. She began to see her past self as someone who was in pain, someone who deserved empathy, not scorn. It was a profound moment for Isabel, one where she genuinely began to practice self-forgiveness. For many on the road to recovery like Isabel, past actions during addiction can be a significant source of pain and self-blame. This chapter is about understanding that while you are responsible for your actions, holding on to self-blame hinders the recovery process. Self-compassion involves treating oneself with the same kindness, concern, and support that one would offer to a good friend. For Isabel, this was a transformative concept. She realized that she had been her own harshest critic, and that learning to be kinder to herself was essential for her well-being. Forgiveness, on the other hand, does not mean forgetting or excusing past actions, but it does involve letting go of resentment toward oneself and understanding that everyone, including oneself, is capable of change and growth. So how does one cultivate self-compassion and forgiveness during recovery? First, it involves understanding and acknowledgement. Before she could forgive herself, Isabel needed to deeply understand her past behavior, acknowledging it without trying to minimize or exaggerate it. Next is the process of self-compassion exercises, such as writing a letter to oneself, just as Isabel did, or practicing mindfulness and meditation focused on self-love and acceptance. Then there's the act of formal forgiveness, which might involve a symbolic gesture such as writing down past wrongs and then burning or burying the paper as a way to let go of that past burden. Lastly, it's about continuous self-care and kindness. For Isabel, this meant developing a daily routine that involved positive affirmations, physical activity, and time for reflection and relaxation. In this chapter, we will guide readers through the psychological underpinnings of self-compassion and forgiveness, provide practical exercises to cultivate these qualities, and offer strategies for maintaining this compassionate perspective as a core element of ongoing recovery. As you turn this page, carry Isabel's story with you. It stands as a heartfelt lesson that in the journey to recovery, one of the most significant people you must make peace with is yourself. Chapter 10: Building Resilience for Lifelong Recovery. In the gentle light of early morning, Daniel stood at the edge of the calm lake, casting a line into the water and reflecting on his journey. Years into his recovery, he knows that staying sober isn't just about abstaining from substances. It's about building a resilient life where sobriety can thrive. Building Resilience for Lifelong Recovery is a chapter about understanding that recovery is not a finite process, but a continuing journey. It's about developing the inner strength to face life's challenges without reverting to past behaviors. For Daniel, fishing has become more than a hobby. It's a form of meditation, a way for him to practice patience and remain present. It's one of the many tools he has developed to build resilience in his life. He knows that life will inevitably bring stress and hardship, but through his recovery journey, he has equipped himself with the skills and support network necessary to navigate those challenges without jeopardizing his sobriety. Building resilience involves the cultivation of mental and emotional strength, which allows one to adapt well to adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. For Daniel, resilience is his armor. It's what has enabled him to maintain his sobriety through job loss, relationship strains, and the general turbulence of life. So how does one go about building resilience for lifelong recovery? First, it involves establishing and maintaining a support network. Daniel has fostered strong relationships with friends from his support group, family members who understand his journey, and a sponsor who has been an unwavering pillar for him. Next is about self-care and healthy living. For Daniel, this involves regular exercise, adequate sleep, nutritious eating, meditation, and his cherished fishing trips. These aren't just good habits, they are foundational for his mental and emotional well-being. Then comes the practice of continuous learning and growth. Daniel regularly attends support group meetings, not because he feels at risk of relapse, but because they are a constant source of learning and perspective that help him stay grounded in his recovery. Lastly, there is the critical practice of developing coping skills and strategies. Daniel has worked with his therapist to develop a toolbox of strategies that he can employ when he feels triggered or stressed, reducing the risk of relapse. In this chapter, we will explore the concept of resilience in depth, guiding readers through actionable strategies to build and maintain it. We'll explore the science of resilience, learning from experts in psychology and recovery, and providing tangible evidence for incorporating these insights into daily life. As you turn this page, let Daniel's story inspire you. His peaceful mornings by the lake are a symbol of the serene strength he has built within himself, a strength that is not innate but crafted with care, intention, and perseverance. His journey serves as an eloquent reminder that recovery is a lifelong process, and with resilience, it is wholly possible to lead a life of sustained, fulfilling sobriety. Chapter 11: The Art of Rediscovering Joy in Sobriety. A Tale of Two Lives, Before and After. Let's journey into Sarah's life. Once, her days were dominated by the search for her next high, but today Sarah is 5 years sober, and her life is unrecognizable from what it once was. This is not a fairy tale, this is real life. This chapter will take you along with Sarah as she rediscovers what it means to experience genuine, unfiltered joy in sobriety. Before, Sarah's days were dictated by her addiction. The joys in her life were fleeting and shallow, tied to the temporary highs her substances provided. After, Sarah awakens with a sense of purpose. She's discovered new passions, painting, hiking, and volunteering at a local animal shelter. Her joy is deeper, more authentic, and untainted by the shadow of addiction. An invitation to you, the reader. Yes, you. Imagine your life filled with activities and relationships that spark genuine joy and contentment. Imagine waking up feeling excited for the day ahead. This chapter is your guide on how to get there, using Sarah's transformative journey as a living example. A breakdown. What is joy? We toss around words like happiness and joy often, but let's dive into what we mean. Unlike fleeting pleasure or happiness, joy is a deeper, more sustained and fulfilling emotion. It's an integral part of a life in recovery. Sarah's path, a detailed look. Here we immerse ourselves in Sarah's world. Her story unfolds in rich detail how she stumbled upon a local art class that reignited a childhood passion for painting, her first tentative hike in the mountains that awakened a profound connection with nature, the satisfaction and sense of purpose she gets from helping animals in need. With each step, we see how Sarah actively reconstructs her life around new, healthy sources of joy that align with her values and support her recovery. How did she get here? A guide for you. This is the heart of the chapter, a detailed, actionable guide for readers, inspired by Sarah's journey, but tailored for you. We provide steps for identifying your own potential sources of joy, how to approach new activities and hobbies without feeling overwhelmed, ways to cultivate relationships that will support, not hinder, your new life in sobriety. Tools for handling the inevitable bad days with resilience and without risking your recovery. Joy as a shield, the psychological armor. Joy isn't just a nice bonus, it's a vital part of maintaining sobriety. We'll delve into the science behind this, examining how a life filled with genuine joy can act as a powerful protective factor in your recovery. Revisiting Sarah, a living example. We return to Sarah as she stands in a gallery, teary-eyed, gazing at her own artwork hanging on the wall, a raw, vibrant painting that tells a story of hope. It's her first art exhibition, a milestone she could hardly have imagined years ago. In this moment, she feels an overwhelming sense of pride and joy, not just in her artwork, but in the life she has rebuilt. She is a beacon of what's possible, a living testament to the profound transformation that can occur when one commits to recovery and to rediscovering joy in sobriety. Your next step, a warm encouragement. As this chapter closes, you are not left alone. You are equipped with tools, insights, and the inspiring tale of Sarah as your companion. Now it's your turn to step boldly into this new chapter of your life, where joy is not a distant dream, but a tangible daily reality. Chapter 12. The Ripple Effect, Impacting Lives Beyond Your Own in Recovery. The Bigger Picture. Meet Mark, a school counselor who is 10 years sober. He transformed his painful past into a driving force for helping young people navigate their own challenges. This chapter explores the beautiful ripple effect of recovery, not just improving your own life, but positively impacting those around you. Mark's conversation. Here we present a transcribed interview with Mark. He shares his journey from addiction to recovery and how he chose to use his past to fuel his present work as a counselor. His story is raw, inspiring, and deeply personal. Mark discusses the joy and purpose he finds in his work and how his recovery plays a central role in his ability to empathize and connect with his students. The power of service. We transition into a narrative exploration of the concept of service. Recovery isn't just a personal journey. Many find that helping others is a key component of maintaining their sobriety. We include anecdotes from people who have found purpose and satisfaction in various forms of service, whether that's through their career like Mark, volunteering, or mentoring others in recovery. Expert Insight. In this section, we present interview excerpts from psychologists and addiction specialists who discuss the therapeutic effects of helping others. They explain why service can be so impactful, both for those receiving help and those giving it, and how this altruism is backed by science. Your Personal Impact Map. This is an interactive exercise for the reader. We guide you through creating your own impact map, a reflective exercise where you outline the positive effects your recovery could have, or already has had, on your family, friends, community, and even strangers. This is not an exercise in self-aggrandizement, but one in gratitude and awareness of the interconnectedness of our lives. Finding your own path to service. How can you start making a positive impact in others' lives? This section provides a practical guide for readers, offering suggestions for different forms of service that suit various lifestyles and comfort levels, from mentoring another person in recovery to volunteering in a community garden, to simply being a more present parent or friend. The challenges of service. Being of service is not without its own challenges. This section dives into some of the real and emotional challenges that can come with this territory, with advice from experts on how to navigate these in a healthy way, ensuring that service enriches your recovery rather than jeopardizes it. The Circle of Recovery. We end this chapter with a touching real-world anecdote, a letter from one of Mark's students, expressing gratitude for his guidance. It's a poignant moment that illustrates the profound, tangible good that can come from one person's commitment to recovery. We address you, the reader, directly, encouraging you to envision the positive ripples that are extending outward from your own journey of recovery. As you close this chapter, you're left with a sense of the broader significance of your journey, not just for you, but for the world around you. Chapter 13. 3 Journeys, 1 Goal. Personal Stories of Recovery and Redemption. The Many Faces of Recovery. Recovery is a deeply personal journey, and no 2 paths are exactly the same. In this chapter, we are honored to share with you the stories of Maya, Carlos, and Eleanor, 3 brave souls who have navigated the rocky terrain of addiction and have emerged into a life of recovery. Their stories are distinct, yet they converge on a common theme: hope and transformation. Maya, from shadows to light. Background. Maya grew up in a turbulent household where addiction was the norm. She found solace in books and dreamed of a different life. After battling addiction in her young adult years, she is now 7 years sober. Turning point. An overdose that almost claimed her life acted as a jarring wake-up call. In the hospital, she found a pamphlet for a recovery support group and felt a pull towards change. Recovery path. Maya threw herself into therapy and 12-step meetings, discovered a love for yoga and mindfulness, and eventually became a certified addiction counselor to help others. Words of wisdom. Maya emphasizes the importance of self-compassion and patience, teaching that recovery is not a race, but a lifelong journey towards healing. Where is she now? Maya leads a peaceful life, cherishing simple joys and giving back through her work as a counselor. Carlos, a second chance at fatherhood. Background. Carlos, a gifted musician, lost his career and family to alcoholism. He felt he had reached the end of the road until his daughter, Sophia, reached out to him after years of estrangement. Turning point. Sophia's brave act of contact, coupled with the birth of Carlos's first grandchild, stirred a profound desire in him to change. Recovery path. Carlos chose a faith-based recovery program that resonated with his spiritual roots. He became actively involved in his church community, using music as a source of healing and connection. Words of wisdom. Carlos speaks to the power of forgiveness both of others and oneself. He is a living example of how it's never too late to change and rebuild broken relationships. Where is he now? Carlos is an involved and loving grandfather, cherishes his renewed relationship with Sophia, and leads the music at his church's recovery meetings. Eleanor, reclaiming her voice. Background. Eleanor, a brilliant academic, found her life unraveling due to a secret addiction to prescription medications. Turning point. A candid conversation with a concerned colleague led Eleanor to confront the reality of her situation. Recovery path. Eleanor engaged in intensive outpatient treatment, found strength in a women's recovery group, and took up painting as a form of expressive therapy. Words of wisdom. Eleanor stresses the importance of vulnerability and honesty, both with oneself and others, and advocates for breaking the stigma of addiction in professional environments. Where is she now? Eleanor is back in the world of academia, teaching with a passion that is informed by her own journey of recovery. She is also an advocate for mental health awareness in the academic community. United in recovery. Despite the differences in their stories, Maya, Carlos, and Eleanor share the deep transformative power of recovery. They represent the myriad ways in which individuals can overcome addiction and build a fulfilling, meaningful life. Their stories are a testament to the human capacity for change, resilience, and hope. As you, dear reader, navigate your own journey, may you find reflections of your own strength in Maya, Carlos, and Eleanor. They are not merely characters in a chapter. They are voices in a vast and supportive community, assuring you that recovery, though challenging, is beautifully possible. Chapter 14. Crafting Your Resilience. Everyday Tools for Sustained Recovery. The importance of a toolkit. As any experienced builder knows, having the right tools can make all the difference. In this chapter, we walk you through constructing your own recovery toolkit, a personalized set of resources, strategies, and practices that you can turn to in times of stress, temptation, or emotional turmoil. Mindfulness and meditation. Profile. Meet Sandra, who starts every morning with a 10-minute meditation that centers her day. Tool description. Explains the concepts of mindfulness and meditation and their proven benefits for people in recovery. Action steps. Guide to basic meditation practices and recommendations for apps or local classes. Reflective questions. What changes do you notice in your body and mind when you practice mindfulness? Physical well-being. Profile. Introducing Alex, who found new life in recovery through hiking and clean eating. Tool description. Details the physical benefits of regular exercise, nutrition, and sleep, and their effect on mental health. Action steps. Suggestions for incorporating exercise into your routine, meal planning ideas, and sleep hygiene tips. Reflective questions. In what ways do you feel different when you prioritize your physical health? Connection and community. Profile. Meet Layla, who found her tribe in a local support group for artists in recovery. Tool description. Discusses the importance of community, connection, and the benefits of support groups. Action steps. How to find and connect with local or online support groups and tips for fostering deep, meaningful relationships. Reflective questions. How has your perspective on relationships changed since beginning your recovery journey? Journaling and self-reflection. Profile. Introducing James, whose daily journaling habit helped him uncover deep-seated triggers and beliefs. Tool description. Explores the therapeutic power of writing as a form of self-expression and self-awareness. Action steps. Prompts to start a journaling practice and suggestions for when and how to make it a routine. Reflective questions. What insights have you gained about yourself through the process of writing and reflection? Professional support. Profile. Meet Elizabeth, who credits her therapist as being a cornerstone of her recovery. Tool description. Discusses the roles that therapists, counselors, or medical professionals can play in supporting recovery. Action steps. How to find a therapist or counselor, what to expect in therapy, and how to navigate insurance or financial concerns. Reflective questions. What reservations, if any, do you have about seeking professional help, and how might you overcome these reservations? Your custom toolkit. We guide the reader through the process of selecting the tools that resonate most with them and organizing these into a personalized, practical, and accessible plan. We reiterate that this toolkit is not one-size-fits-all, It is something that each reader can shape to meet their unique needs, preferences, and lifestyle. As you finish this chapter, we leave you with a sense of empowerment. You are not just a passive participant in your recovery, you are the master craftsman of your own future, equipped with a set of tools that are as resilient and enduring as you are becoming through this journey. Chapter 15, A New Dawn. Embracing your journey with hope. Reflection on the journey. As we close this book, we pause to reflect on the profound, transformative journey of recovery that has been the central theme of these pages. This journey, as you have seen through stories and insights shared, is as diverse as the people who walk it. It is a path of resilience, a testimony of human strength, and the profound capacity for change. A letter to you, the reader. Dear brave soul, as you turn these last pages, we hope that you feel a profound sense of accomplishment. Not only have you completed this book, but you have also taken significant steps in your own recovery journey, steps that require immense courage, strength, and self-compassion. Know this, your journey is uniquely your own, but you are not alone. The stories and voices in this book are a testament to that truth. People from all walks of life have faced the demon of addiction and emerged into a life of recovery, love, and meaning. Here is our wish for you. May you continue to cultivate self-love, forgiving yourself for your past while nurturing your present and future. May you remain steadfast in your commitment to sobriety, even when the path becomes challenging. May you continually discover new sources of joy, purpose, and inspiration. May you surround yourself with a community that uplifts, understands, and embraces you in all your beautiful humanity. We believe in you. We are cheering for you. And we are grateful to be a small part of your expansive journey. With all our love and hope, your fellow travelers. The path forward. As you close this book and continue on your path, consider what your next steps will be. Remember that recovery is a dynamic process, a continual journey of growth, learning, and healing. Action steps. A checklist of potential next steps to consider, such as finding a mentor, engaging in continued education about addiction and recovery, or volunteering in the recovery community. Closing words. A new dawn. As dawn signifies the start of a new day, let this moment signify the start of a new chapter in your life. A chapter where you are not defined by your addiction, but by your journey towards health, wholeness, and authentic living. You are embarking on the most meaningful journey of your life, and this book is but a humble companion that has walked with you for a short while. As you move forward, may you carry with you all the wisdom, strength, and resilience that you have cultivated. Above all, may you carry hope, a hope as bright and promising as a new dawn. Farewell, dear friend, until our paths cross again. The 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1. Admitted powerlessness. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unimaginable. 2. Higher power belief. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Decision to turn our will. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Moral inventory. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitting wrongs. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. Readiness to remove defects. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Ask God to remove shortcomings. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. List of all persons harmed. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Making amends. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued inventory. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Prayer and meditation. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Spiritual awakening. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in our affairs. Acknowledgement. The above steps are the original 12 steps as published by Alcoholics Anonymous. In many groups, these steps have been adapted or reworded to fit specific needs. Note: remember that the term God and the spiritual language of the 12 steps can be adapted based on individual beliefs. Many people interpret the higher power in various ways, depending on their personal faith, spirituality, or understanding of a power greater than themselves. Acknowledgements. First and foremost, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to each and every individual who bravely shared their personal story of recovery within these pages. The courage, strength, and resilience you have demonstrated is nothing short of inspiring, and this book would not have been possible without your willingness to share your stories. Please note that all names in this book are pseudonyms chosen by the participants themselves in order to honor and maintain their anonymity, a principle that is foundational in our recovery community. I am profoundly thankful for the dedicated and compassionate team of editors, advisors, and friends who have worked tirelessly to help shape this book. Your insights, patience, and unwavering support were invaluable at every step of the way. A special acknowledgement must go to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Cocaine Anonymous. The foundational principles and support systems that these groups provide have served as a beacon of hope for countless individuals, myself included. I am forever grateful for the wisdom, structure, and community they offer. I wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation to my family and loved ones. Your love, encouragement, and belief in this project, and in me, have been my constant source of strength. Thank you for standing by me, even when times were tough. Lastly, but by no means least, I want to express my sincere thanks to you, the reader. Your willingness to engage with this book, whether for your own journey or to support someone else's, is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the profound capacity for change and growth that lies within each of us. In gratitude and in service,